Okay, you're live. I see you, son. You're great. Your camera is on silent.
And then to unmute. Is it muted?
Can you check? Testing?
Testing. 1, 2.
No, not yet. She's on mute. Check. And 10 o'clock we have started.
Testing. Let's try set the microphone. Hi, Neo. Is your speaker not off?
Check for you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first monthly township talks. Hello, Kabelo. Hello, Mandisa. Please let me know where you guys are engaging from. I'll just give 1 minute to everyone. Hello, Christine from Pretoria. Hi, Olwetu from Soweto. Kabelo in Midrand. Hopefully, Kalfontein. Pangele from Cape Town. We're nationwide today, hey? Hey, Richards Bay, Mandisa. Moloko from Pretoria. Welcome, everyone. I think we can start. I think we have enough of us here. Hi, Zepo from Soweto and Palesa from Soweto. I think we've got enough of us here to start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking time from your Friday and coming to engage with us. We're looking forward to having our first monthly township talks where we'll be engaging with you, answering all your questions on uMaStandi and any questions that you may have about township rental development. And thank you, Matt, for taking your time here. I'm just going to go through some of the questions that we've gotten. Hello, Nyaniso. And Neo from Katlehong. I'm just going to take some time to answer some of the questions that we got beforehand. Thank you, Mapisa, Ntando, Tebuho, and Zimasa Binza for asking your questions online. Umapisa Mazwi asked, I'd like to find out if there's a vacant property that I'd like to receive assistance in acquiring and building rental units on. How can uMaStandi assist me with that? So uMaStandi finances property entrepreneurs who are looking to either buy land, buy a property to demolish, buy an already built rental property in township areas around South Africa. We give commercial mortgage loans, and we are currently active in city of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, Nelson Mandela, eThekwini, and Cape Town. We have so many, it's a mouthful, so many that I tend to forget. But we will do exactly that. So if you'd want to acquire land and you really want to build rental property in it, we would then fund you for that. We fund up to 80% of the total project cost. We will look at your feasibility. You need to engage with one of our consultants, and we'll look at your feasibility, see what the cash flow would look like, see if you'd be able to build the kind of rental property or stock that that you want to build, and if you have the town planning rights to build that. But we walk with you throughout. We have a number of areas that we finance in. I'll ask my colleagues to just send a list of the areas that we currently finance in. Look, we are not limited to the areas that we're financing in, but we want something that's in close proximity. We look specifically for townships around South Africa, so the specific characters that we want. We do like financing in places that have multi-sectors, such as, for instance, Johannesburg, where you have government, tourism, and a number of multi-sector area where you have a lot of job opportunities and people are looking for rental stock. I'll go into Ndando Pagati's question. She says, "Hi Semi, hi Ndando. I'd like to know, do you also help a person in need of assistance in rural towns like Umzimkhulu?" Unfortunately, Ndando, we don't necessarily do rural towns yet. So uMaStandi is specific to township areas around South Africa. As I said, my colleagues will send a list of areas in which we finance in. We look for multi-sector areas where there's a lot of churn on people wanting rental stock. And we know that there's a number of job opportunities there where if one sector falls, for instance, and decides to migrate to another place, they'll be able to, the jobs will still be there, there'll still be people looking for rental stock. Zimasa asked, "Are you coming to Port Elizabeth?" Zimasa, are we coming to Port Elizabeth? We're already there, Beto. We're in Gqeberha. We finance a number of areas in Gqeberha, in Motherwell. We are in New Brighton, KwaDwesi, KwaMagxaki, KwaZakhele, eZwide, eWells Estate, naKwaNobuhle, amongst a number of them. But if you have a property that side, we're looking forward to engaging with you and looking at it. Malefo is asking if this will be recorded. Yes, Malefo, it will be recorded. So you're able to come back to it should you have any other questions or engage with me or any of our portfolio managers directly. Let me look at some of the questions.
Simi, we've got a question here from Kabelo. Can one be able to pay off the mortgage within the loan term?
Within the loan term. Yeah, so remember our loan term is a 15-year loan term. And what's great about a 15-year loan term is that it releases cash flows for you and allows you to expend your debt over a larger period, especially for a commercial mortgage bond. So we give you the 180 months or a 15-year loan term in order for you to pay off your property or your loan within that period. I'm not sure if you're asking if we will be able to pay before the period expires, Kabelo?
While we wait for Kabelo to further elaborate, we've got Nyaniso, who says, "Hi sis, do you help those who are blacklisted?"
Blacklisted. Unfortunately, Nyaniso, we are a financing institutions, and there's specific regulations that we need to follow for financing institutions. We are part of the National Credit Act, is part of our guiding principles or guiding acts. So we are not able to extend debt to you if you are blacklisted. But we can look at your property while you work on cleaning up your credit profile. Look, property is a long-term game. You can come and engage with us now. It might take a while for us to actualize your property or your specific investment because we need to fix you up. But we can help you get ready, and then when you are ready, we can start. I hope that answers your question.
And we've got another question, Simi, coming through from Khaisan. What constitutes a township? Places in Mpumalanga, in former homelands, would those count?
So it's townships according to the previous regulations in terms of, look, according to town planning, all towns are township, but more on how the previous apartheid regulations and how the previous townships, for instance, there's colored townships, Indian townships, black townships like El Dorado Parks, the Sowetos, and the Lenasias, etc. We don't finance in Mpumalanga yet, but we would look at your specific townships. I think the most important thing is that you need to be able to also get a title deed in that specific area. So there are rural areas or homelands where they will be owned by chiefs who will then allocate the specific land to specific families. So for this one specifically, we need you to be able to at least have a title deed for that specific land. It's usually closer to urban areas or areas of densification. And it's usually just on the townships are usually just on the outskirts of large metropolitans or cities.
Excellent. And another question coming in from Tulani. Do you finance commercial business where I want to build land, buy a building, a grocery shop?
A grocery shop. Look, our concentration is rental accommodation because we really want, our mandate is to provide quality, affordable housing close to business districts and close to job opportunities. But look, if your commercial building is somewhere within our areas of finance, and it will increase the investability of the areas that we'd finance in. Perhaps, let's say it's in Soweto, in a specific area that doesn't necessarily have a grocery store, and it will actually help the tenants around that specific area to now have access to those kind of amenities. We would look at that. We look at it at everything case by case. We have specific things that it's much easier if something already fits our profile, it's in our area of finance, it's exactly what we do, like rental stock. We then know that we'll just look at the numbers. But if something is not necessarily part of it, then we will look at how can we look at it differently, and is it something that we'd have appetite into going to?
Great, Simi. And the next question, again from Haisan, it says, what is the minimum project value? Would basic structures, such as a few notches from a shack? I think they meant to say, would we finance if they would want to purchase and convert a shack? Maybe they can elaborate further, but let's take the first part of the question. What is the minimum project value?
So we don't necessarily have a minimum project value, but in order for your cost of investment or cost of debt to be more than your cost of investment, return on investment to be more than your cost of debt, around 6 to 8 units are usually the sweet spot, but around 6 to 8 units or higher is usually around the sweet spot. But we don't necessarily have a minimum cost of investment. We don't necessarily build shacks. I'm not sure what the question was, if you could further elaborate for us. But we do try to build quality, affordable housing in those areas. We want those self-contained bachelor units for people to be able to stay in really decent accommodation in these areas.
And what would happen, Simi, if they want to pay off their mortgage
earlier? So look, we have a 15-year loan term with you. We contract a 15-year loan term with you. For the first 5 years, there is a stepped penalty rates if you pay before term. But generally, you are able to pay before the 15 years. But there is, especially in the first 5 years, there is a stepped penalty according to when you pay.
Okay, and maybe Simi, can you walk Humutso through the fact that, or the question around financing 2 or more projects at a go?
At a go, okay. For Monto, if you want to finance 2 or more projects, firstly, we need to know what your experience is as the entrepreneur. Generally, we would want to do one and then build from that to see what your construction appetite is, how you deal with construction, and understand what your payment pattern is, and just engage with you in that basis. But if you've had some property experience, you've built before in our areas, we can actually prove that your buildings have a good, they tenanted, and we'll look at those specific nitty-gritties, and then we can then motivate that maybe we can do 2 projects with you. But even as long as we know that you've got the correct team and we won't be overextended, you'll be able to finish those 2 projects at the same time. But generally, we want to build with you. We want to first start with one, kind of understand you, understand your behavior, understand your construction management skills, your property management skills, etc. And I think onto that, one of the things that we do provide in uMaStandi is mentorship. Once you get a loan with us and it registers, we mentor you through the property management, the construction. If you are constructing, we provide you with a value-added benefits like training through our TPPE program with UCT, which is a 6-week course that gives you on knowledge on property investment, property management, construction management, etc. We also give you financial literacy courses. Just before, even if you're not part of our clients, we do have some simulation financial literacy courses. But we do hold your hand throughout this thing, and we really try. I think our aim is really to get you to succeed and to build more quality, affordable housing within the township areas around South Africa.
Excellent. And Olretu would like to know, once you have financed her and the building work resumes, how much time does she have to start paying the loan?
So we give you whatever your construction period is plus 1 or 2 months. We call that a grace period. We give you, we put a capitalized interest within your loan facility in order to allow you time to build and to tenant. So the 1 or 2 months is time to allow you to tenant the building and it's fully lit. Remember that our feasibility is based on the potential rentals of the property. So it's very important to us to be able to see, are you able to actually get the specific rentals, and for you to be able to be tenanted out in order for you to be able to repay us using those specific rentals. So we look at those specific things, will allow you time to construct and to build until such time as you can get the cash flow from the building or from the project and be able to pay us back our installment. I hope that answers it all right.
Excellent, Sims. And moving forward, Palesa would like to know, can you get funding without a title deed?
Without a title deed, we will need to register a mortgage over the property. So we do need a title deed in order for us to be able to. That's your proof of ownership, that you own the property that you are asking for us to borrow. Remember, the whole idea, even in how uMaStandi started, we saw that backyard rentals were actually being done in townships as a response to a housing shortage in South Africa, right? And people already owned the properties, had title deeds in these townships, but didn't necessarily have the relevant equity in order to build. So people used to use personal loans, expensive debt, that when they were not able to pay back. So uMaStandi came in to give access to funding or access to finance in those areas to allow you to build quality, affordable housing. Since we've started, we've seen increases in scale of people being able to build much bigger units than the initial backyard rental, and increase in quality of the kind of units that we're trying to build. So just to answer the question, to revert back to Palesa's question, you do need a title deed if you already own the property.
And would uMaStandi also give the finance for the renovation of an already purchased property?
Yes. So what we do is, remember, we do an 80-20 type of financing, especially for our first-time borrowers. So we'll finance up to 80% of the loan-to-value ratio, or we will give you, according to the debt coverage ratio, right, 1.4 of the debt coverage ratio. So if you already own the property, that already is an equity injection from you. You're basically saying that I have an ownership, my skin in the game is I own this specific property. How much can I raise in capital in order to construct or to build this specific property? And uMaStandi will help you with that, as long as it's to build rental, quality, affordable rental units within our areas of finance.
And maybe, Simi, we can touch again regarding the fact that how we work with rural areas. Are we there yet, especially in the rural areas of the south of Joburg?
Of the south of Johannesburg? No, we are not. We are in the township areas in the south of Johannesburg. Just a few areas that we finance in the southwest is Soweto, Lenasia, El Dorado, Mahlakeng, Kagiso, to name a few. As I said, I think someone had asked before, we do look for a multi-sector environment. So we won't generally finance in a place that is largely driven by mining, right, and only mining, because if anything push comes to shove and the mining industry would then go, or would there'd be nothing to mine. Will then have less churn in those areas, and we would not have as much job opportunities and people looking for rental stock, etc. So we finance in multi-sector areas. Right now we finance in the biggest metros in South Africa. As I had named them, I just go through them again: City of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, eThekwini, Nelson Mandela Metropolitan, and Buffalo City. We hope that's enough for now.
Tshwane has a property, Simi, in Soweto, Moroka. Mm-hmm. It's next to Regina Modi Church. And she says she has a bond on that property. Is uMaStandi able to assist her?
Yes, we would. The only thing is that we'd obviously, part of the financing structure we'd give you, or the facility we'll give you, is the payment of that third-party bond. Remember, uMaStandi operates on being a first covering mortgage bond. So we would then embed however much you owe on that bond first and settle that bond as part of your transaction, and then we will raise money in order for you to construct the property and build those rental units. Usually when a property is bonded, though, we then will need some sort of equity contribution towards that transaction.
Okay, excellent. Maybe, Simi, let's touch again before we move forward. I see the questions regarding the loan term keep coming up. Maybe just to touch base on that again, and also detail a bit around our equity requirements.
Okay. So our loan term is 15 years. It's 180 months. If you are building, we will give you a grace period for the time in which you're building. This will be part of the 180 months. So let's say you're gonna build for 10 months. We're gonna give you a grace period where you're not paying an installment for those 10 months, and give you, let's say, 2 months in order to tenant. That's 12 months overall. That's gonna be part of your 180 or 15-year term, and then for the rest of we will amortize your installments over the remainder of the 14 years, right? And when it comes to equity contribution, we ask for an 80% maximum of 80% equity contribution, financing cost, and 20% minimum of 20% equity contribution. Just on equity, we do have our Intutugo Equity Fund that is meant to help previously disadvantaged individuals who don't necessarily, let's say, they have 10% of the equity, but they don't necessarily have the entire equity contribution. So that is to help them, really enable them to enter the property investment market. It is for 7 years. It's a more concessionary rate, charged at prime. It's a mezzanine finance charged at like prime -2, and it's really to help our property entrepreneurs to enter that market, specifically for previously disadvantaged property entrepreneurs. But you still need to have some skin in the game. There needs to be some sort of equity contribution, be it in forms of cash or be it in forms of you already owning the property.
Brilliant. And further to that, there is Spongile. She's inquiring about a small township. It's a township in Johannesburg. Excuse my pronunciation. It's Dedur.
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 Okay, I won't lie to you, Swangile. I don't know if Dedur. But which municipality is it under?
Okay, we'll wait for Spongile to come back on that.
Look, as I said, we are not restrictive in terms of the type of townships that we finance in. So we would have a look at it if it has the specific characteristics that have been listed of uMaStandi areas of finance. So if it's in city of Johannesburg and it's a township, perhaps we'd be able to look at it.
And moving forward to that, back to equity. Would the money already paid into the bond count as part of the equity? This is Malefu.
Yeah, so remember, the more you have paid in the bond, the less balance you have to pay back. So then your equity contribution will also be embedded in that by virtue of you having now to pay less debt. Just an example. If, for instance, I'm coming in with a property owing 400,000, it's bonded for 400,000, and it's valued at and I want to build for 600,000. That's 1 million. I'd need to generally put in an equity contribution of about 200,000. But then if it's bonded, that 200,000 I'd have to pay towards the settlement of the bond. But if that property is then owing a bond of around 100,000 and the numbers are still the same, then the equity contribution that you need to put in for that 20% is 100,000 more instead of that 200,000, that full 200,000, because you've paid off majority of that balance. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, and Spongile has just come back to revert. Follow-up statement. She says it's in Johannesburg South, Mid-Vaal municipality.
Oh, Vaal municipality. Okay, we have not a finance in Vaal municipality. Look, let's chat on the side and then just see if it's something that would be serviceable for us, if you have a specific project there.
Okay. And Spay would like to know if we can help in securing, deceased auction estates.
Deceased or auction the state. So I'll just go from to the deceased first. So look, in township markets, what we've seen a lot of is the deceased estates. There is some winding up that needs to happen. Hopefully, in fact, one of the township talks that we're going to have in future is our legal and compliance and conveyancing officer speaking to us on deceased estates. So you need to have some winding up done, and that deceased estate just declared. We would need to, we can take you through and guide you through the winding off of the deceased estate to get it ready to be registered into our bond. It would need to be owned by you, or specifically the SPV that you'll be borrowing with. Yeah, but we do help with that. We have dealt with that a number of times in uMaStandi. When it comes to auction, the best we can help you with is do a feasibility for you and see at what price that auction would be would work. So we would let you know that given these specific rentals that you'll be getting from this, and the specific bond, or how much you need in order to fix it up, etc. This is how much we would value at, and this is how much uMaStandi would be able to come in at in that specific project, to guide you so that when you go to the auction, you know that you are then auctioning using an informed idea of what value or how much you can extend to in getting that. On Dando, you here. We did answer your question. It was one of the first ones. Thank you for sending us a question online prior to us going live. But we went through, we don't finance in Mzimkhulu, we finance eThekwini in townships such as Waterloo, Nazareth, Claremont, Kwandengezi, KwaMashu, Umlazi, to name a few. But we don't finance in Mzimkhulu. We finance in specifically township areas in the bigger metropolitans that have multi-sectors, such as education, tourism, driven by government, etc. So Mzimkhulu, we don't finance there. I'm not sure how the land and also is distributed there, but that's usually the biggest problem with rural areas, that some of the land will then be owned by chiefs and distributed to specific families, but you don't necessarily have a title deed.
Okay, brilliant. I have David Simi. He has a paid up stand in Heidelberg town and would like to build student accommodation. Is uMaStandi able to assist him?
Student accommodation. I would have to just check where Heidelberg is. I'd have to just check where Heidelberg is, but we are able to finance in student accommodation. We have a limited exposure. We'd need to understand exactly where what university you're servicing to. You need to be in close proximity to that university, within a walking distance. We need to know that you have the cash flows, because NASA's doesn't necessarily pay every single month, but the bond will go through every single month. So you have to have the cash flow and the balance sheet in order, and the experience in student accommodation for us to really enter into that with you. Generally, if you're first time and you've never done that before, we would prefer that you go into more of quite affordable housing or affordable rental units.
Okay, and what's our take on Cosmos City?
Cosmos City, we would have to look into it. Do you have a title deed?
Okay, that is a Ngobi. We'll wait for him to revert back to us. While we wait for that, Simi, will uMaStandi allow for the resale of the property should I wish to exit the portfolio at a later stage before completing the repayment of the loan?
Look, we hope that our entrepreneurs, I think one of the characters that we look at in our entrepreneurs is people who are looking to invest in the long haul, really, and are looking to build a property investment and to create value and actually stay with us for the full 15 years. We can't stop you if you want to sell, but we'd hope that your aims is to actually keep it at least for the 15 years. I always say, my colleagues always diss me about me saying properties for the long-term haul. It's marriage and not just a fly-by-night thing. So we would want to see that you're committed.
Brilliant. Ngobi hasn't come back yet, so we'll just move forward. Can uMaStandi provide joint funding with other financial institutions or funders for new loans, or where there is already an existing mortgage bond?
Yes, we would, but we do operate on being senior debt. So as long as the terms and conditions of the other financier allow for them to be subordinated, and take a second covering mortgage bond, then we will definitely finance joint venture with someone else or with another institution.
Okay, let us know, Simi, if this would have to wait for our legal team. However, we've got a question around the legal processing or the transfer of property into an individual's legal entity. Does uMaStandi help with such legal processes?
Yeah, so we do guide you through it. So most of our clients will come having owned the property in their individual capacity, and we will ask them, because we borrow juristic entities. We'll ask them to open a specialized SPV in order to transfer that property. Usually, most of our clients do this through asset for sale transaction. We will take you through all of that and tell you which is what it requires. Would need a sales agreement for that between yourself and the entity in which you are probably 100% shareholder of, and we'll take you through everything. We definitely assist you in that.
Okay, great. And Ngobi has come back to say they do have a title deed for the stand.
Okay.
Yes.
Ngobi, we'll have to then look at your specific property, check the zoning right, check its feasibility. We're definitely not against it. We'll just need to check the feasibility of it and just see if we'd be able to finance in that specific area. But you can please get in contact with me or one of our consultants. I know my team is sending our details on the chat box, and we'll look into your specific project.
We've got Spare Simi. He wants to know, for the 10 months plus the 2 months grace period, is the interest on the loan capitalized since they're not paying over the time?
Yes, it's capitalized. So we give you part of the facility. We'll then give you is a capitalized interest facility for those 10 months. And it's that amount that you are meant to pay in those 10 months will then be amortized and capitalized into the loan for the remainder of the term.
Simi, can you just recap on the uMaStandi's requirements for finance?
For finance, so we finance up to 80% of the total project cost. We finance in specified areas and townships around South Africa. We finance people who want to buy a property that's already and buy and build rental stock, or who want to build rental stock, or people who actually own properties in township areas and just want to release equity from that in order to get more, to increase their property portfolio. We finance for 15 years, and our debt cover ratio is at 1.4. Just to go into debt cover ratio and break it down. So our debt cover ratio is 1.4. That means that for every 1 rand that you pay in an uMaStandi installment, we want you to be able to make your net operating income, so your net income, your rental income minus your operating expenses, need to at least be 40 cents more, right? That means that from the onset, uMaStandi looks at, you need to be able to pay your operating expenses, your municipalities, if you have workers, pay your workers, pay your electricity, your water, etc., service your uMaStandi installment, and still have some cash flow coming to you of at least 40% of the uMaStandi installment. And that's probably the biggest requirement we look at in your feasibility to see if your project is feasible.
Okay, brilliant. We've got David, who says, on the Heidelberg student accommodation, if you are able to finance rental accommodation, he will appreciate it, as well as his second option. How does he get hold of us? We are putting it in the chat as well.
My colleagues is gonna put it on the chat. You can get a hold of me directly on simnikiwen@umastandi.co.za. That's SIMNIKIWE, N for November, at uMaStandi, that's UMASTANDI.co.za. My direct line is 010-595-9017. That's 010-595-9017.
Malefu would like to know, what is our lead time for feasibility study after the submission of an application?
So for the feasibility study, we can generally do that within 48 hours. As long as we've got the relevant information, usually what we do is try to connect with the clients in order to have a better understanding of exactly what they've put into their feasibility. And I think most of the time our clients will put the feasibility studies, but the specific nuances that maybe they're not aware of, and we need to just have a better understanding of. But should take 24 to 48 hours to reply to you with the feasibility of whether it works or not, and how much equity contribution you'd need to put in order for it to work. Let me check the questions. Where are we from? I saw someone from Cape Town. Mandis, I was asking about KZN on townships beyond KZN, in KZN beyond Durban. Look, Mandis are actually one of the exciting things that we're having in KZN on the 24th of June. We have some training. We'll announce it on our social media platforms on the venue, the time, etc., and what that will entail. But I think Uzindle, our portfolio manager in KZN, will take you through exactly what areas we'd be able to look at in that specific area, and look at your specific feasibility, and it would help for you to go to that training session that will take place on the 24th of June on Saturday. Look out on our social media on exactly what the details will be. Oh, what's Romario from Cape Town. Hi, Cape Town.
And we also have a question, Simi. Does uMaStandi appoint the professional team and building contractors on behalf of clients?
So we don't appoint the building contractors and the professional team, but we will vet them for you in order just to check their previous work, to check their quality. Most of our clients will then want to see some of the contractors that we've previously worked with. We will gladly give that to you, but the choosing of which contractor you want is up to you, because remember, this is your project, and uMaStandi is very aware of that, and we want to enable you to build the specific nuances that you need to build in order to become a proficient property investor. So you choosing your own professional team, choosing your own contractors, etc. What we do give you is a lot of guidance in this, and tell you if there's any ones that have worked on our previous projects, and we will vet the ones that you submit to us for you or with you. Hi, African Union for Housing Finance. Glad to have you. Oh, I thought we were going national. Now we're going continental. Thank you. Thanks, Olwetu. Please, guys, keep on engaging, and we do want to have, because we understand that the specific questions that you'll have even afterwards. I think our aim with these sessions, with these township talks, is to see how we can give finance, access to finance in these areas, and build again quality affordable housing. And we want people to know more about the kind of finance that's there, and to give you those requirements that we need for uMaStandi. uMaStandi, we will work with you throughout. Your project may not be ready now, but give us a call so that you know exactly what things you need to look at in order for it to be ready. It might take some people, they come in with a ready project and it takes 3 months, 2 to 3 months to actualize it. Some people it takes a year, 2 years, because they're still trying to wrap their head around the idea and to find the property that's best suited for them. So let's engage, let's speak about it, let's see what townships we have earmarked and what we can build there, and how we can provide those quality affordable housing. Samantha, where in Cape Town are you in? Just on that, our portfolio managers in Cape Town is uNomfundo. You'll see that my colleagues have put in some things on the chat box on some of the consultants that you'll be working with in specific areas. We have Nomfundo in Cape Town and the Eastern Cape. We have Uzinhle Khumalo in KZN. We have uVictor in Ekurhuleni and Itswane, and we have uNqobizitha in Soweto. So we're looking forward to hearing from you in those. Thank you, Khomotso. I'm so glad that you came. You see, I like people who come on Fridays and are just like, you know what? I want to do business. I mean business on a Friday. Vulani ama laptop, nizofumana uMaStandi.
Samantha has just come back to us. She is in Bel Air, in the northern suburbs of Cape Town.
In Bel Air, yes. Okay. I think we'll need to speak to my colleague uNomfundo. I'm not as familiar with Cape Town, I'll have to say. But right now, I'll give you a list of the areas that we finance in there. It's Khayelitsha in Delft, Mandalay, Montclair, Langa, Guguletu, Blue Downs, Esterrefier, and Mitchell's Plain. But Nomfundo will look through your specific feasibility. She'll come. Oh, it's near Belleville. Oh, okay. Isn't that more inner city? Yeah, that could be tough. I don't know if you know about TAF, which is everyone never knows the gender of is it a sister or brother company? Or older sister, older brother. So they are concentrated in financing in inner cities around South Africa. We finance in townships around South Africa, but we'll look at it. Oh, Delft is, okay, Samantha. That would probably then be on uMaStandi area, but we'll look at it. Nomfundo will come to your specific site and look at those specific nuances and see if it'd be able to fund it. But look, we'll look at everything as long as it satisfies the mandate. I think by the end of this, I need everyone to come in and say, what is the mandate? Quality, affordable housing in townships around South Africa. That's the mantra of the weekend. Oh, it's next to Delft. Oh, okay. We'll probably look at it. I'll ask if you could leave your details also below or write them directly to us. We'll just give them to uNomfundo, our portfolio manager who operates there, and ask her to contact you, if that's okay. Are you guys answered? It feels like you finished the exam early. You must always relook at your question when you finish early.
It does look like the answers are very clear. Simi, I've got comments saying this is very insightful and informative.
Thank you, Kabelo. Thank you, guys. Hi, Mpo. Hi, Avocado. We spoke about you guys. So Avocado is what is the team that actually oversees the training, the financial literacy training. It's more basic financial literacy. Even before you become our client, if you just want to understand those basic nuances, you can speak to uMampuru, and he'll just take you through. It's part of the added benefits of uMaStandi. Should the property registered in a company? Yes, so we finance directly to a company, but it doesn't need to be registered when you come to us. We'll help you with that process if you own it. If you are buying it, we then want you to open a company and sign a sales agreement between the company, the new specialized special purpose vehicle or SPV, and the seller. So oh, sorry, I got distracted by the questions. So that will help you through that. And even in your OTP, we do look at the OTP, just make sure that it's correct and it's asking for the relevant compliances. But we definitely finance against SPVs.
And Spongila would like to know, Simi, how often will uMaStandi have this masterclass?
Monthly. Next month, I want you guys to come in and say the mandate. Create a quality, affordable housing in townships around South Africa. That's when I'll know the people who came to this first one. So we'll have it monthly. Be on a lookout on our platforms. Please hashtag everywhere Township Talks, hashtag uMaStandi, hashtag Township Property Development. We're definitely looking forward to engaging with you more. Thank you, Akona Mazi. I know Akona Mazi. That's the Eastern Cape. I was worried that we were missing a province here.
And Hai Sang has stuck around. They would like to know, would each property project be in a different company?
No, definitely not. But we do want a specific company dedicated to your property investments. So dedicated to where you'll be using in order to grow your property portfolio. But it's not each property in a different company. We'll put all your property investments in this one entity or specialized entity specific to property investment.
Malefu is very excited to have the masterclass and Township Talks on a monthly basis.
Oh, Malefu, I'm seeing you. I'm going to look for your name. I'm going to look for your name next month. Let me see if we've answered all of your guys' questions. I think one of the things that I actually want to highlight, if you're looking for a property to invest in property in the township, to also look at the town planning regulation of your specific township and your specific plot. So see what the rights to build, you have. You can find that at your municipality. They'll be able to let you know, in this specific land, are you able to build these multi-let residential units as your that you want to build? Does that land have sufficient bulk services in order for you to build that? Yeah, I think that's the knowledge of the day. Insight of the day. No, Samantha, you didn't join late. You joined just on time. Just in time. Do you finance land and construction? Yes, we'll finance the purchase of the land, and you will give you a facility to construct. And you would need to bring in an equity contribution of a minimum of 20%.
You mentioned the avocado vision. We've got an attendee and a viewer who would also like to know if we are part of the NHFC and some of our funders, who they are.
Some of our funders. You can go. You can go to our website to just see some of our funders. We've got multiple funders, private companies who see impact in uMaStandi and see the kind of company, the kind of initiative that we're trying to do, and the kind of impact investment that we're trying to do. NHFC works specifically part of the Tough Holdings group and as part of the founding members who really invested in Tough as a whole as an idea in funding inner cities around South Africa. So, but we generally uMaStandi in this specific talk, we finance directly to you. I just want to re-emphasize some of the things, of the questions that we had today. We had a lot of questions on equity contribution. We contribute up to, we need an equity contribution of a minimum of 20% of the total project cost, depending on how cash flow positive of that project is. If you're able to buy at a very low price, and build at a lower price or lower cost, etc., that equity contribution may decrease slightly. If your cash flows are constrained, we might need more equity contribution. On equity, we have our Intutugo Equity Fund, which is focused on enabling previously disadvantaged individuals who may not necessarily have the full 20%, but have some sort of skin in the game and really are keen to finance in our areas of finance. It's a more concessionary loan at more favorable at prime minus 2. At prime minus 2 to 2.5. It's a 7-year term or 7-year loan with a 7-year loan term. And some questions that we've got on the areas that we finance in, we're not limited to the areas that we currently have listed, but we are looking at financing in a more multi-sector environment that has more than one, that has government, education, tourism, etc. Currently financing the 7 biggest metros in South Africa. Just to re-emphasize, City of Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, City of Johannesburg, I'm saying it twice, eThekwini, Buffalo City Metropolitan, and Nelson Mandela Bay, amongst a few. And what am I missing in some of the questions that I re-emphasized in the importance of town planning and understanding the town planning regulation of your specific township, and that we finance, whether you're bonded, we can embed that in your facility. We give you a grace period during your construction period, and you start paying when you let. We give you added benefits such as training, mentorship. We even give you one part that I didn't speak of is our PRC that really helps you. It's usually a qualified quantity surveyor who helps you in your construction and then looks at the quality of build, whether you're building within budget, etc. And yeah, just to highlight some of the things that we've done.
And what are our interest rates, Sylvie?
Our interest rate, we are market linked, so we're JIBAR linked. We're currently at average of JIBAR plus 7.8. JIBAR plus 7.8, that's equivalent of prime plus 4.5. Tando, you can reach me at Simnikiwe, that's SIMNIKIWE. I see you spelled it correctly. N for November at uMaStandi.co.za. That's uMaStandi.co.za.
We still have questions around Bloemfontein and Mpumalanga. They are excluded from our areas of finance. Would you like to touch on
guys,
that?
don't say excluded. We currently don't finance there. Look, we look at certain things. We do extensive market analysis in the areas that we finance in. But we are looking at if you have a specific site and you have an exciting project in any of those areas, speak to us and let us. One of our consultants is going to come in and look at it. Bloemfontein specifically may be much easier because we do have a presence there through Tough. through TAF, so we'll be able to come and look at that specific project and see what you want to build, if you'd be able to build what you want to build, and just understand the municipal regulations of that area. We're definitely not limited. We don't exclude specific areas. If you could just contact me directly on the Bloemfontein project, and we'll just look at it on its merits. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, it's been wonderful. It's been extremely wonderful. I'm looking forward to having more of these engagements going forward. We will have my colleagues from legal, if we can convince them, different players in our sales team, just to speak to you through what uMaStandi does specifically. Bring us your specific project, and we'll look through it, and we're very happy to engage. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for spending your Friday here. I see that you're the real property entrepreneurs looking to develop. Have a wonderful weekend further.